Hello everyone. Okay, so the next program in chapter 2 is male and female percentages. Alright, so write a program that asks the user for the number of males and the number of females registered in a class. The program should display the percentage of males and females in the class. Suppose there are 8 males and 12 females in the class. Okay? There are 20 students in the class. The percentage of males can be calculated as 8 divided by 20, which is equal to 0.4, or 40%. The percentage of females can be calculated as 12 divided by 12 divided by 20 is equal to 0.6 or 60%. Alright. Okay, so this question is also similar to ratio and proportion. So before I start, I'm just going to use comments to just explain the idea behind it. Okay. Maybe some of you know it. If you know it, please feel free to skip through it. If not, then I'm hoping this is helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and create a comment and say, first let me go ahead and type it. So if there are 20 students, okay, if there are 20 students in the class, okay, if 20 students is it's 100%. If 20 students represents 100%, then let's say over here, here's an example of, let's say, 8. Okay, if 20 students is equal to 100%, then 8 students is equal to what? Okay, and I'll go ahead and I'll copy this. Now I'll paste it down here. Okay, so if 20 students is equal to 100%, then 12 students is equal to what? Okay, so this is like ratio and proportion. All right, actually, it's ratio and proportion. So the way ratio and proportion works is this. First of all, let me go over it. Let me go over it. So if 20 students is equal to 100%, and then 8 students, when you look at this, when you compare this, okay, if 20 students is equal to 100%, then 8 students is going to give us a lesser percentage. Okay, so if less, then more divides. Okay, and what I mean by more divides is the bigger number between these two numbers, the more between these two numbers. 20 is bigger than 8, so more divides, meaning 20, which is the bigger number, which is the more, goes under 8, and then you end up multiplying by what's on the right. So in this case, it's going to be 8 divided by 20 times 100. Okay, so if 20 students is equal to 100%, then 8 students is going to give you a lesser percentage. So if less, more divides. And what I mean by more divides is more, okay, the bigger number between these two divides. And that means that it goes under 8. So it's going to be 8 divided by 20, and you end up multiplying by 100. Sorry. Okay, so the same thing for this one. Okay, if 20 students is equal to 100%, then 12 students, okay, it's going to give us a lesser percentage, because when you compare 20 and 12, you're going to end up getting, because 12 is small, I'm sorry for the cough, because 12 is small, smaller than 20, you're going to get a lesser percentage, because if 20 gives you 100 and 12 is going to give you a lesser percentage. So if less, more divides. And what I mean by more divides is the bigger number between these two, which is 20, is going to go under 12. It's going to go under 12, and then you end up multiplying by what's on the right here. In this case, 100%. So it's going to be 12 divided by 20 times 100. Okay. sorry for the cough. Okay. Like I said, I said in the previous video that it's almost gone. It's just still there. Okay, I'm sorry. It still has some remnants there, but it should be gone in a couple of days. Okay, hopefully. Okay, so okay, so I'm going to change this to, let's say, 34, and I'm going to change this to, let's say, 45. All right, so the way ratio and proportion works is this: if less, more divides; if more, less divides. So in this case, if 20 students is equal to 100%, then 34 students obviously is going to give us a bigger percentage. Okay, it's going to give us a bigger percentage, because 20 students is equal to 100%. 34 students is going to give us a bigger percentage. So if more, it's going to give us more. So if more then less divides. And what I mean by less divides is the lesser number of these two is going to go under it's going to go under 34 and end up multiplying by what's on the right, in this case 100%. In this example, if 20 students is equal to 100%, then 45 students is going to also give you a bigger percentage, because if 20, which is smaller than 45, if 20, which is smaller than 45, is giving you 100%, then 45, which is bigger than 20, is going to give you a bigger percentage. Okay, so if more, okay, it's going to give you 45 is going to give you more. So if more, then less divide. So the way ratio and proportion works is this: if more, less divide; if less, more divide. Okay, so if more, less divide; if less, more divide. So because 45 students is going to give us a bigger percentages, because it's going to give us more, then less divides. And what I mean by less divides is the smaller number between these two goes under 45. So in this case, it's going to be 45 divided by 20, and then you always end up multiplying by what's on the right, which is 100% in this case. All right, so this is just an idea. This is just so we can have an idea of how to calculate the percentages. Okay, sorry. All right, so now let's go ahead and start the program. Now Python has methods or has a method for dealing with percentages. So I'll first do it the normal way, okay, and then I'll show Python's way of also formatting it. All right, so I'll go ahead and I'll start. So write a program that asks the user for the number of males and the number of females registered in the class. So let's go ahead and ask first the number of males in the class. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to use an input function and say, please enter the number of males in the class. Okay, so sorry. Anything that you type, okay, anything that a user types using, this input function is going to ask this question. So anything that a user types is going to be stored as a string. But because we can't use a string, okay, in calculations, because we can't use strings in calculations, we need to convert that string, okay, into a number. So for example, even if the user types in a number here, because you're using the input function returns anything that the user types into a string. Even if the user types in a number, it's going to be returned as a string. So we need to convert it into a number so we can use it in calculations. Okay, so the user is going to type in something here. I'm going to go ahead and convert that to an integer by calling the integer function and surrounding everything that the user typed with parentheses. I'm surrounding everything with parentheses. Let me space it out so you can see. So I'm calling the int function, and then I'm surrounding everything that the user typed here in parentheses. Sorry. Okay, so I'm converting everything that the user typed in parentheses. I'm converting everything that the user typed. I'm converting everything that the user typed to an int, okay, by calling the int function and surrounding everything that the user typed with parentheses. Okay. All right. So once I convert everything the user typed into an integer, I need a place to store it. Okay. In this case, it's going to be the number of males in the class. So I'm going to create a variable. I'm going to call the variable males, and I'm going to store what the user types in there. I'm sorry, my cough is really bothering me. I'm sorry if it's disturbing you. Sorry. Okay. All right, so we need to do the same thing to accept the number of females in the class. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this, and then I'll paste it down here, change this from males to females, and say please enter the number of females in the class. So by the time the program reaches this or runs this or gets to this point, we'll have the number of males and the number of females in the class. Okay, so now we need to go ahead and find the number of students in the class. Okay, the number of students in the class is just going to be the number of males in the class plus the number of females in the class. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and create another variable. I'm going to call it total student. Okay, so total student. And total student is going to be equal to males plus females. Okay. Sorry. So now we have everything we need to start a calculation. We have everything we need to start a calculation. So, all right. So over here, okay, I didn't mention it, but if you realized, okay, let me mention it now. If you realized whatever the scenario was, whether this was less or more, we were always dividing by 20 and multiplying by what's on the right. In this case, 100. Over here, we're always dividing by 20 and multiplying by what's on the right. So, for example, if 20 students gives us 100%, and 34 students, if 20 students give us 100%, then 34 students is going to give us a bigger percentage. So if more, it's going to give us more percentage. So if more, then less divide. And less divide means 20 goes under 34, and you end up multiplying by 100, okay? So 20 goes under 34, end up multiplying by 100. If this was, let's say, just 4 students, okay? If 20 students gives you 100%, then 4 students is going to give you a lesser percentage, okay? So if less than more divide, and more divide means 20, which is the bigger number of the two, goes under 4, and you end up multiplying by 100. So as you can see, in every situation, whether the number of students is small or big, we are always dividing by 20 and multiplying by 100. Okay, always dividing by 20 and multiplying by 100. So that's exactly what we are going to do to find the male percentage, okay, the male percentage and the female percentage. All right, so sorry. So that was the first way I was talking about. Now we're going to calculate the full percentage, okay? We're going to calculate the full percentage and then display it. So I'm just going to create another variable and say male percentage, okay, is going to be equal to, remember, we're always dividing by 20. We are dividing the number of students, in this case, the number of male students, which is males. We are always dividing by 20, which is the total students. And I'm going to go ahead and surround this in parentheses, just so the calculation can take effect first. And then we are always multiplying by what's on the right, which is 100% in this case. So times 100, okay? And that's going to give us the male percentage. All right, so now I need to go ahead and calculate the female percentage. So female percentage now is going to be equal to the same thing. If you wash over, assuming this is the female, okay, this is the female. We are always dividing by, assuming these are the number of female students, we are always dividing by 20 and multiplying by 100. So we are dividing the number of female students, which in this case is females, by 20, which is the total students. Remember, the user is going to type all these values, the males and females, the males and females, the values that go in those variables. So females divided by total students, we are always dividing by the total students and multiplying by 100%, or in this case 100. Okay, let's say 100. So 100. All right. So now this variable will contain the male percentage, and this variable will contain the female percentage. So I can now go ahead and print it. Now this is the first method I was telling you. So after that, I'll show you another way of doing it. That's like using Python's format method to format it nicely without doing too much work. Okay, so now I have the male percentage, so I can go ahead and say I'll go ahead and I'll output this properly. So I'll say, let me just go ahead and type the full thing. So I'm going to say there are, okay, I'm going to say there are let's see. I'll just do this for now. Male percentage, okay, is going to be equal to male percentage. Okay. When you try to concatenate a string to, in this case, double, okay, in this case a double. But Python is going to complain that it can't do that in an implicit manner. It can't do it by itself. So that means we have to do it ourselves. We have to do it explicitly. So I'm going to go ahead and do that ourselves. I'm going to go ahead and convert. Python will complain that it can't concatenate a float to a string by itself. So that means we have to do it ourselves. So I'm going to go ahead and call the string function, str function, which is basically going to convert the value or what's in males percentage. Is going to convert it to a string and try to concatenate a string to a string. It wouldn't have any problems doing that. All right, so I'll change it. In this case, I'm going to use 2 print statements, but I'll change it, and I'll change it when I'm using Python's format method. But now I just want to show you how it's going to look like. So I'm going to go ahead and display the female percentage. So female percentage here now is going to be concatenated to the female percentage double value converted to a string. All right, so I added a semicolon here. I'm not supposed to. We don't terminate statements in Python. I also code in Java, and that's why sometimes I just forget to not add the semicolon at the end of Python statement. So I'll go ahead and delete this. We don't terminate Python statements. Okay, so I'll go ahead and debug this, and let's see what happens. So let's save it. Okay, so I'm going to create a new folder. And I'll call it what's it called? Male and females. Male and female percentages. Oops. Did I save it right? Male and female percentages. All right. I think it did. All right. Let me just verify here. I didn't create a folder for it, did I? It doesn't matter. I'll do that. Let's see. Hold on. It's going to be slow. I wanted to get the info of this, but it's okay. So just wanted to make sure it's a Python file. Okay, so it's fine. I'll go ahead and I'll create a folder and put this file in there later on, but for now I'll just save it here. Okay. All right, so please enter the number of males in the class. I'm going to use the same as. Okay, so I think it didn't save it as a Python file, so that's why it's displaying like this. So let me go ahead and I'll go ahead and save this as. All right, so I'll save this as male and female percentages.py. And I'll create a folder. I thought I did. Male and female. I didn't. Okay, so I'll create a new folder. I'll call it male and female percentages. It's already taken. Let's see. I think it's assuming this one. Okay, I know what it is. Okay, I'll delete this file. Go ahead and delete this file. It's not working. I'm sorry for all this. I think I didn't save it correctly. That's why. Let me just fix it quickly. Open a Python folder here. Don't have it. I'm just going to go ahead and delete this, and then. Now it should work. Okay, so now it's gone. Okay. All right. Okay, so I wasn't supposed to do this. Let me go ahead and bring it back. My trash. Where is it? Okay. I'm going to copy that. Anyway, it's fine. I thought I did. Let me go ahead and create the folder here, and I'll call it male and female percentages from here. And then I'll paste the file here, and I'll change it to .py if it should work. Add it. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and open the file. And it did work. Oh, all right. Okay, I'm sorry for the confusion. It's my mistake. All right, so I wanted to go ahead and compile this. All right, debug this. So let's do that. And please enter the number of males in the class. Again, I'm sorry for all that confusion. Okay, please bear with me. All right, so number of females, I'm going to use the same as this one here. Number of males. So 8. I'm going to hit enter. Please enter the number of females in the class. I'm going to hit 12. And we have a problem. Okay, let's see what happened here. It says name males percentage is not defined. Okay, so I'm using males percentage. Let me stop this and let me take this back. I'm using males percentage here, and I'm using female. But when I declared it, I said male percentage. So I'm just going to sorry for the cough. I'm sorry. I'm going to go ahead and delete this s, and so that it matches with this variable, because it doesn't know what it is. It doesn't know what males percentage is. So I'm going to stop this and debug it. So males, I'm going to enter 8. Females, I'm going to enter 12. Okay, now it says male percentage is 40%, as the program said, and female percentage is 60%. I can go ahead and concatenate the percentage sign at the end of each of them, and it should look like a real percentage. Okay, so 8 for males, 12 for females, and male percentage 40%, female percentage 60%. So that's one way of doing it. Sorry. Another simple way of doing it is very simple. See, over here we did the full calculation. So this is a perfect way to do it. Okay, we did a full calculation here. We did everything. We did a division and we multiplied by 100. All right. So that's one way of doing it. Another thing you can do is, I'm going to go ahead and copy this. Okay. And so you can do it this way. Okay. This is one way of doing it. You can do it this way and it works. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this and show you the other way I was talking about. I think it's helpful, kind of important. All right. It can be helpful. So I'm going to paste it and make some changes. So Python provides you with a format method, which can basically you don't have to multiply it by 100 to get the percentage here. You don't have to multiply this calculation by 100 to get the percentage. And the reason I'm saying this is because Python has a function. Okay, sorry about that. Python has a function that does the rest of the calculation for you. So all you have to do is say males percentage is males, okay, divided by total students. Female percentage is females divided by total students. So for example, if over here the user entered 8 for males, it's going to be 8 divided by 20, which is going to give you 0.4. So in this case, if the user entered let's say 8 males, this is going to be 0.4. Okay, it's going to hold 0.4. And if the user entered, let's say 12 females, this is going to hold 0.6, because over here we are just doing the males, the number that the user typed here, which is 8, divided by total student, which is 20. And that's going to give us 0.4. Female percentage, if the user entered 12, we are dividing by total student, which is 20. In this case, if the user entered 12, and 12 and 8 here, 8 here, 12 here, total students will be 20. So in this case, it's going to be 12 divided by 20 here, which is going to give you 0.6. It's going to give you just a decimal. If you try to display this, you're going to get male percentage is going to be equal to 0.4%, which is not really how we want to display it. So let me go ahead and delete this print, and I'll show you how we can print it. Let me just go ahead and delete it. So like I said, the other method is you can just go ahead and calculate it this way without multiplying by 100 to get the full percentage. Okay, this is the first thing we did. That's the method 1. So let me go ahead and do this and say method 1. Okay, method 1 is this. Basically this. All right. So now method 2 is you don't have to multiply by 100. All you have to do is just go ahead and do the division. Males divided by total students, females divided by total students. So males out of the total student, females out of the total students. You're going to end up getting a decimal, okay? And then you use Python's format method to basically continue the rest of the calculation. It's basically going to multiply your decimal, whatever you have, whether it's 0.4 or 0.6, it's going to go ahead and multiply 100. You're going to multiply whatever you have, okay, whether it's 0.4 or 0.6 by 100. So let me do that. So I'm going to call the print function, and oops, I keep on terminating it. Again, you don't have to terminate it, okay? In Java, you terminate it, so I keep on terminating it here. You don't have to, okay? All right. So I'm going to call the print function and say, okay, I want to display this nicely and say, first I'm going to say there are I'm going to go ahead and concatenate this to total student. Okay, so total students holds the total students in the class. So there are total students, but because Java will not Java, Python will complain when it's trying to concatenate a string to, in this case, an integer. It will say that it can't concatenate, or it can't convert an integer to a string. Okay, it can't do that implicitly. So that means we have to do it explicitly. We have to do it ourselves. So I'm going to go ahead, just like we did here, did with the previous print statement, and convert this to a string. So I just want to form a nice output. Okay, so there are, in this case, it's going to be, if I entered 8 and 12 for males and females respectively, this statement is going to print there are 20 students. Okay, not just 20. This is, let's say, 20. I'm now going to add the string students. So it's going to print there are 20 students. So there are 20 if I entered 8 and 12 for males and females respectively. There are 20 students in the class. Okay, in the class. I'm going to put a full stop and say, I don't want to exceed this line here. I want to try and keep 80 characters on a line. So I don't want to exceed this line here. That's why this line is there for me. It's just a guideline. It's a Python thing to try to keep 80 characters on a line. So I don't want to do that. So because of that, I want to break this line to break this statement to a new line. And before you break anything to a new line, you have to type the backslash and you break it. Okay, so I'm continuing. So now I have this string. There are this number of students in the class. Okay. Now I have the male percentage here, but it's in a decimal form. But I want to display it as a real percentage. So I'm going to call the format function. The way I make a display as a percentage is this. The format function takes two arguments. The first argument is what you want to format. Okay, so in this case, what I want to display here is there are, in this case, 20 students in the class. 20% are males, and 80% are females, something like that. In this case, 40% are males and 60% are females. So the format function takes two arguments. The first argument is what you're formatting. I'm formatting the male percentage. It's in a decimal form like this, like 0.4 right now. If the user typed in 8 and 12 for males and females respectively, it's in a decimal form right now. The second argument is how you want it formatted. Okay, So it goes in quotations. Okay, how I want it formatted, it goes in quotations, right? So first of all, I want it formatted as a percentage. Okay, so I'm going to put the percentage sign there. I want to format it as a percentage, and as soon as I put this percentage in there and say that I want to format it as a percentage, automatically this format function is going to multiply this male percentage by 100, and that's what's going to give you the real percentage. Okay, if you don't do this, then you're going to display a decimal, which is 0.4 or 0.6. It means a percentage, but I mean it's a percentage of something. Okay, but we want to display it this way, 40% and 60%, or something nice. We want to display it right. So as soon as I say I want to display it as a percentage, it's going to end up multiplying male percentage by 100, and it's going to also end it with a percentage sign here. Now I don't want anything. I don't want anything after the decimal place. I don't want anything. I don't want any decimal or anything. So I'm going to say I want it rounded to 0 decimal places. So rounded to 0 decimal places, and formatted as a percentage. Add the percentage sign at the end of it, and multiply this value by 100. So in this case over here, we didn't add 100. We didn't multiply by 100 here, like this. We didn't multiply by 100. So we have to this way. This method basically multiplies the value here by 100 and format it to 0 decimal places. Okay, so that's going to be my the output of it. The output is going to be a percentage rounded to 0 decimal places. So now it's going to read something like this. Let me go ahead and concatenate this to a string and say of them are male. Yeah. So it's going to say there are this number of students. Okay, so if it's 20, it's going to read there are 20 students in the class. 40% of them are males. Okay, now Java, sorry, I keep on saying Java. Python is not going to complain because the output of this function is a string. So it wouldn't have any problem trying to concatenate a string to another string here. Okay, so that's fine. So the percentage here, let's assume 40%. So 40% of them are males. And now I'm going to go ahead and concatenate it to the female percentage. I'm going to do the same thing here, but before I do that, I know I'm going to exceed this line, so I don't want to. So I want to break the line onto another line. Break this break this statement onto another line. And before I do that, I need to type the backslash. So I'm going to hit enter and continue from there. So of them are males, and I'm going to use the same format function here and change a few things. Paste it. I'm going to format the female percentage. Also the same way, it's going to multiply the decimal 0.6 by 100, puts the percentage sign at the end of it, and round it to 0 decimal places. And I'm going to concatenate it with a string of them are females. Okay, so remember when we tested this one, it worked. That's method 1. And this is method 2. Okay. I should have kept the print, the way we printed the method 1 there, but you can rewind the video, go back to the video, and then you can see how it is. Okay. All right, so now let's go ahead and try this and see what happens. Now, remember that this contains decimals. We are still displaying the value, the decimal value here, but we are using the format function to format it as a percentage. And when we say we want it formatted as a percentage rounded to 0 decimal places 0.0, it's going to multiply this decimal, in this case 0.4, by 100. So we're going to get the full percentage, which is going to be 40% in this case. See, let's see how it's going to display. I'm going to debug it, and I'm going to type in 8 for males and 12 for females. Okay, so now it says there are 20 students in the class. 40% of them are males and 60% of them are females. Okay, let me try another value. So it's working. I'll try another value. So let's say 45 males and 38 females. Okay, there are 83 students in the class. 54% of them are males and 46% of them are females. So the program is working. So this is method 1, and method 1 is also going to give you the same output. Okay, but with method 1, we ended up multiplying by 100. So we got the full percentage. We didn't have to format it. We could just go ahead and display it. With method 2, we were just dividing the number of males by the total student, which is going to give us a decimal basically. So in order to get the full percentage, we had to multiply by 100. But this format function does it for you. When you say you want the decimal, in this case for males 0.4, when we say we want it formatted as a percentage, run it to 0 decimal places, okay, it's going to go ahead and multiply the value here, which is in this case 0.4, by 100, and it's going to display it nicely. So it works. It works. If you have any questions, please comment down below and I'll do everything to respond to them. I'm sorry that I over talked. I keep on saying that nowadays in my videos. Alright, yeah, but I'm sorry if I over talked. If the beginning, this thing here was something you knew already, then please feel free to skip through them. But if it helped you, then I'm very glad. If you have any questions, please comment below and I'll do everything to respond to them. And also sorry for the saving when I was saving the file and all that confusion. Alright, thank you very much again for watching. Please comment if you have any questions. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time with the next program. Okay, bye-bye.